Hello everyone, this is Ozzy here again at the Opulent Live, once again bringing you another wristwatch review and unboxing. Today we are unboxing this Longines Master Collection watch. Very big and heavy box, guys. That's why you feel the thud when I put it on this table over here. So we're going to go through the same procedure we did for the last watch. We're going to go through the unboxing and review the components of the watch, look at it in detail, and we're going to go through the cons and the pros, and then we're going to give it an opulence score based on several categories. So let's get right into it. But before we do that, wristwatch check. Again, wearing the Tissot Bridgeport with the rose gold bezel, stainless steel case, chronograph, silver dial, and this beautiful alligator pattern butterfly strap in dark brown burgundy style color. And so yeah, loving this on the wrist. Chronograph running beautifully. Let's get right into the watch now. Here we go. So as you can see, it has the same pale yellow Longines box, straight up cardboard finish, nothing else on there. On the front it says the statement, Longines, the world's most honored watch. On the other side we just have, it says fabricator Art Deco, date, California compliant, phase 2, just some CE markings, of course quartz watches, but this is not a quartz. Box is made in China, just the reference number. Nothing else on the outer case. Let's take this out. Side here, get the receipt out of the way. So they have very nicely given you this cloth here to wipe the watch in case it gets smudged, because I'm assuming it has some polished finishing. That is most likely a smudge magnet, so it's nice they gave you this cloth to clean it up. Good. Impressed so far. Then we have some styrofoam paper wrapping, and in here we have the actual box, which is wooden lacquered finish. But before we get to the box, let's check out the other parts of this casing. We just have some paper, and then we have the user manual. Just as expected, a very thick and heavy user manual for the Longines watch. However, unlike the Hydro Conquest, guys, I would recommend that you read the instructions for use before diving straight into this watch. This is the Longines Master Collection Moonphase watch. It has a lot of complications and you don't want to break it, so you have to be very careful, especially if you're a beginner. And so if this is your first high complication watch, read the manual how to set it up before you start pressing the buttons on this watch. It's very sensitive, although I know they make it very sturdy and they're expecting this, but still, why take a risk? Read the manual, go through the instructions like I did, and then you should be safe and won't need to send the watch in for thousands of dollars of service. So let's put this to the side here and get this outer casing out of the way. And then you see this beautiful watch box. Very expensive looking wood finish. Again, it says Longines, world's most honored watch. Nice that they have this level of confidence. Okay, let's open it up. See the watch itself. There you go, guys. Here it is. Before we take it out, let's look at the inner case. It says again, so they're making sure that you know that this is the world's most honored watch. They're writing it almost everywhere. They want you to know this. And then it shows you a coin collection. It says Grand Prix Paris 1900. There must have been the official timer for that race, I'm assuming. Okay. What else we got here? So we just have the watch. Any secret compartments? Doesn't look like it. Nope. Yep. So we can get the box out of the way then. Comes on the standard watch roll. Okay, looking at the watch itself. So this is the Master Collection, like I mentioned, with the Moonphase dial. And you can see it's very complicated dress watch. And this would be a great first high horology watch that you guys purchase. If you have not had a complication watch before, this is a great place to start. let's go through the dial first. As you can see, it's very detailed. So let's start with the background first. It looks white, silverish, but in some lighting it may seem like a cream colored dial. It's not. It's actually white silver finish. Has the Clos de Paris guilloche on the background, as you can see. Yep, there it is. See the Clos de Paris texturing is very detailed. Looks very expensive. Very nicely done, beautifully finished. Has the Longines automatic logo near the 3 o'clock position. Arabic numerals, some of them are cut out because of these sub-dials. 3 sub-dials, one at the 12 o'clock, one at the 6 o'clock, one at the 9 o'clock position. And then you have these hands here that are blued in finish. You have the minute hand, you have the hour hand, you have the chronograph second hand, and then you have this date wheel hand. So these numbers in the inner ring of the dial, that's the date starting from 1 to 31. That's the date of the month. That is not a tachymeter. The outer chapter ring is the seconds marker for the chronograph hand, which is at the top. Let's start this watch up a little bit so we can see that actually function up. So hand wind it too a little bit. Very smooth action, by the way. You can see. Now, you might be saying, so where's the seconds hand of the watch? Well, there it is over there. At the 9 o'clock position, you'll see this register has 2 hands. The inner hand goes from 0 to 60, and the one that's moving, that's the seconds hand for the watch itself. The outer hand is the 24-hour marker hand. And coming to the 12 o'clock register, it has from 0 to 30 minute markings. That's the minute marker for the chronograph. It has 2 cutouts, one for the day of the week, one for the month of the year. So it's an annual calendar basically. So it means that you only have to set it, provided that you're wearing it almost every day, you only have to set it once in a year for the 29 days of February. Otherwise, it should function perfectly fine. So next you have the 6 o'clock register. That is the hour register for the chronograph. It goes all the way from 0 to 12 hours. And inside this register, you also have the Moonphase. As you can see, I hope you can see. So there it is, marked in gold on a navy blue type background. That is stars and the moon. So that is the Moonphase dial. It says swissmade on the chapter ring at the 6 o'clock position. Let's start this watch up. There you go. Pressing this button over here, the top activates the chronograph. The movement is a modified ETA value 7751. It's been heavily modified by the Longines factory. They now call it the Longines caliber L678. So it's not just your standard ETA 7750. It's been heavily modified to include all these complications. So how do you set this watch up? Let's turn off the chronograph first. Now that you can see it's a very smooth moving high beat chronograph. Press the top register, stops the time. Press it again, restarts from the same position. Press it again, press the second button, snaps back to the 12 o'clock position. So the crown, see if it's screwed down. It's not a screw down crown. And as you can see, in the first position, second hand still moving. If you move it all the way out, stop. So it has hacking and hand winding as we saw earlier. Serrations on the crown are kind of aggressive, but makes for a very nice grip. Let's move this around to a safer, as you saw, the day changed as you pass the 12-hour mark. So that the date, let's take it to a safe position where we can't mess up anything. I think this is a good one. Let's keep it at this. At the 9:15 position in the AM setting. Okay, now go to the different functions. You put it to the first position, rotating the crown clockwise is just gonna move the Moonphase kind of hard to see because it's a very subtle movement, but if you move it counterclockwise, you can see the date wheel moving around, and you can easily move it around. It is quick set. So as you move it one circle. So to set the month, you have to kind of go all the way anti-clockwise on the crown, clockwise on the date wheel. That changes the month. See? Once you do that, you might want to change the moon phase. As you see, I'm moving it clockwise. The moon phase is moving also. So that's how you set the moon phase. Now, set the date. You see this button over here? That's a quick set for the day of the week. Sorry, not the date. The day of the week gets set through this. And you can take any kind of pen and just tap it in there. That'll move the day along. So, that's the basic function of the watch. Let's look at the other elements of the dial and the case. So it's sapphire crystal. Has a very slight dome, some distortion of the light. You can see, yeah, it's dome sapphire, very big plus. And yeah, let's keep the chronograph hand working. The crown itself is signed Longines, kind of giving it a classic touch there. Case is stainless steel, polished mirrored finish all across, no changes in the type of finishing. Yeah. It is a 40mm diameter. Let's check it with our electronic caliper. Let's use our digital calipers to measure the diameter, the most widest point, excluding the crown. After a series of measurements, this is what the average is coming out, somewhere between 41 to 42 millimeters. So I'm not sure why they said 40 millimeters on there. Let's check the other dimensions. Look at the lug width. That's your standard 20.7 millimeters, should fit most straps. 21 millimeters is kind of the regular, most common number for that particular metric. Let's look at the case width, coming up to 14 millimeters. So the case thickness is actually correct. They mentioned 14 millimeters, and that's exactly what I'm getting here. It's just the case size is a little bit off. Let's measure the lug to lug. Lug to lug is about 49 millimeters. So yeah, so dimensions are pretty okay for this type of watch. A little bit on the high side for most wrists, but should still work for a lot of you guys out there. Now, let's see what else we can see. Mirror finishes all across, so nothing else to talk about that. Let's look at the case back. Here's the case back, guys. You can see, it looks like it's wonderfully decorated. You can see perlage there. You can see blued screws. You can see very, very nice patterning and decoration all across. The rotor says Longines. It even has their signed logo, a reference number. On the outer rim, you see it says sapphire. Actually, it doesn't say sapphire. It says all stainless steel, Swissmade. Oh, there it does. It says water resistant, but it doesn't say sapphire. Longines Master Collection written on the outer rim. Gonna give you guys a good look up close. Very beautiful, very, very nice. Full marks on the decoration part, guys. Really like it. It's very soft, feels very, very high quality. It's croco calf, so it means it's got this alligator patterning, but it's actually calf leather. Has some beautiful white stitching on the outer edges, both sides. No tapering off the strap itself. Maintains its width all across. And it looks orange over here, but it's actually tan brown. It says Longines, and that's has a serial number and everything as well. It says upside alligator leather, and the downside is actually calf leather, so that's why it's so soft and so supple. And then let's look at the clasp. Very well finished, mirror finished all across. Feels very high quality. Nice weight, nice thickness. It's a butterfly pattern clasp, so It will close like this. I'm not the biggest fan of butterfly patterns, but this looks very well made and very smooth in execution. So let's see how it actually works. So open this up. So what you would do is this part actually opens out, and then you insert the leather strap in here. The logo stays on the top side, which is very good. And you can adjust it wherever you want. Then just close the pin where your wrist is the most comfortable. Try this one, and then it snaps on. What you would do next is you would wear the watch, put this side on, snap this side on first. Then you would, when snapping the other side on, you would make sure that this goes in first, and yep, easily goes in, and then snaps the other side on. That way you don't damage the leather, and it looks very fantastic from this angle, and I'm assuming it's going to be very comfortable too. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of butterfly clasps, the one on my T-Sod over here is not the most comfortable. It was a little bit hard to get used to, but this one looks like it's going to be much nicer in comparison. Okay, let's go ahead and put this on too. Here it is, guys. I put it on. You can see the band looks very, very nice, very elegant, very classic, and this patterning, this feel of the leather feels so comfortable. Now, in the top edge, you can see it fits nicely on the wrist, a little bit on the large side, as expected. With 42 millimeters, if this was 40 millimeters, it would have been a little bit smaller, but the lug-to-lug width, 49 millimeters, kind of cutting it close. My Tissot Bridgeport is also somewhere in the range of 51 millimeters, so that one is like really at the edge. This comes very close, but still fits nicely. Now, looking at this zoomed angle, it looks big, but if you go a little bit further away, you can see it actually doesn't look bad at all. So very nice, very comfortable. The dial is very pleasant to look at. I like the feel of wearing it. Has a decent amount of weight. It's not too heavy, not too chunky, just the right size. Can be used in a dress formal occasion, and it might actually be a little bit more versatile. You might be able to use it in a semi-formal or even sometimes a casual hangout as well. Not going to the beach, obviously, but you know, nice lunch, brunch, maybe a hangout with friends sometimes. Parties, dinners, office wear. Suits almost every occasion, and gives a very sober and sophisticated vibe. And yeah, I would highly recommend this one. If you are into a high horology complication watch, this is a good point to start off with. Again, consult the user manual before setting this watch up, because it can be a little bit confusing, guys. Now, if you're not into winding the watch every day, setting it up every day, that may be a problem, because if you have a watch collection, you rotate through different watches like I do, this can be cumbersome. So I would highly recommend getting a watch winder with this type of watch so that you don't have to set it all the time. I might if I were to keep this watch, but that's something to consider. If this is your only watch and you're going to wear it every day, then no need to buy it, because then the watch stays on point for most of the year, and then you just need like some minor adjustments. Keep that in mind when you're purchasing a high horology complication watch. It may look fantastic, but it requires work, just like a Ferrari requires much more expensive maintenance than a BMW or a Honda. So yeah, with high complication comes high maintenance and high levels of care. I forgot to mention, if you look closely at the handsets for the minute, the hours, the 24 hours, and the sub-registers, they are leaf styled. That's very beautiful. I think most watch lovers would really like this patterning, especially matching it with the blue. Most dress watches, this one does not have any lume on it, so no lume test is possible, guys. Sorry. This, as I mentioned, is the ETA 7751 modified, contains 25 joules, beats at 28,800 bph, which is a high beat, and has a power reserve of approximately 48 hours, which is very good for a high complication watch like this. It's fixed stainless steel, so no rotating bezels for all you guys who are fidgety like me. Let's talk a little bit about the calendar function of this watch. As you can see, it tells you the complete calendar. It has the day, the month, and the date. So it's not an annual calendar where you automatically adjust for which days of the month are 30 and 31. So you do have to kind of set it every month. But yeah, so if you have like a perpetual calendar, you only set it once in 4 years if there's a leap year, or never until a century passes by. But this is not that complicated. It's just a day, date, and month. So, and also, if you look at the registers very closely, we see that they're slightly recessed, not too much, only slightly recessed. They're bordered by concentric rings in silver, and inside them the patterning is a little bit different than the Clou de Paris. On the outside you see concentric rings as the patterning on all the 3 registers. It's not very apparent on the camera, but if you look with a very close eye you can see it. Talking about the Moonphase, it's not a very super decorated Moonphase. Only the stars and the moon are in polished gold on a background of navy blue. There's no face drawings or any kind of artwork that would stand out, but at this price range, I mean, I wouldn't complain too much about that. It's still a very nice, handsome, complicated watch. The retail price on this is somewhere between $3,300 to $3,500, and I got this from Bloomingdale's for around close to $3,000. But on Joma Shop and on Gray Market, it fluctuates somewhere in the early 2000s, around $2,275, $2,200, which is a perfect price for a watch of this type. It wears very handsomely, ticks a lot of boxes. Collectors love it. I love it. I highly recommend it. And with the level of functionality and versatility you're getting, I can think of no better watch at this price point, guys. Very good value for money. Summarize the pros and cons of the watch. First, let's talk about the good parts that I like. It is a multi-complication, high horology watch, and at this price point, I don't think you can do much better than what this watch is offering. 40 to 42 millimeters is a good size for a lot of people. It's not overly obtrusive, functions well as a dress watch, even as a sports watch sometimes, some may argue, or even in certain casual settings. So it has that element of versatility, gives a nice vintage watch look, which a lot of people are going for these days. It has a very beautiful decorated 7751 movement with a see-through caseback. A lot of people like that. That's a great positive. High beat at a movement, 28,800, very, very smooth chronograph function, so it's practical too. It gives you annual calendar functions. Tells you an AM PM indicator with the 24-hour markers here. And what else? We have very beautiful finishing on the case, although it's only high polish. Some may say it's standing out too much. Would have liked a satin finish maybe, but a lot of people like the high polish. The materials and construction are very well made. The strap is super high quality, so is the clasp, and it has a decent weight to it. And if you look at the dial, it looks like it's been very, very well proportioned, nicely designed. It is very challenging to put this much complication on a watch and still make it legible, readable, and easy to understand. I think they did a great job with that. Although and this was actually kind of jumping ahead of ourselves, we're going to come to the cons. Some people might say it's a little bit too complicated for them. Some might say the dial is a little bit too busy. And by busy, I mean the left side of the dial is a lot more busier than the right side. The breguet numerals are great, but most of them are getting cut out by the sub-registers. Some people may not like that. Although this is a very versatile watch, you can't exactly wear it in super casual settings, so that may turn off a lot of people who are just looking for a sports watch. Positive is that it looks much more expensive than it actually is. Some people like that wow factor, so that's good. Negative points, like I mentioned before, it can be very complicated for beginners who are just getting into watch collecting. The functions are not exactly very, very apparent from the get-go. You might have to read the manual, understand it a little bit, so it can be considered a very complicated watch. And if you're getting into watch collecting just now, this shouldn't be your first watch. You should try out other watches first. And like I mentioned before, dial can be too busy. Some people don't like that. May require a watch winder if you don't ever want to set the hours and dates. Butterfly clasps, So that can be a turn off, although this one with the twin trigger system is very secure and very high quality. I do like it. I'm not a proponent for butterfly clasp, but this can be a turn off for some people. And another part that people may not like is that it does not have any luminescence. No superluminova, nothing on this watch will help you read the time in complete darkness, so that can be a turn off. As well, give this watch an opulence score. Style and looks are very good, but not perfect, so it gets an 8 out of 10. Materials, construction, and finishing are also very good, but not the best in class, so it gets a 7 out of 10. Performance is great, considering this is a high complication watch, and very well modified movement of the ETA 7751 pulls it off very well with 48-hour power reserve and high beat movement. It gets a 9 out of 10. Price and value are great. There's almost no watch that can be of this high quality at this price range and can offer so much in value. So for that reason, for value, it gets a 10 out of 10. Versatility is great, but not amazing, so it gets a 7 out of 10. Wow factor is good, but not excellent because it can be recognizable by watch geeks and a lot of people who are into dress watches or vintage watches, but not everybody will understand this or appreciate this watch just from a glance. So for that reason, it gets a 7 out of 10. So that was Longines Master Collection Moonphase chronograph review. Hope you guys liked it. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Check out our Instagram page as well so that you don't miss any more content. Until then, take care and have a good day.